Hi, I'm Lucretia Gant, engineering teacher here at Chamblee High School. Today we had two LBE sessions. One was on orthographic projections and wanted to make sure that students understood the fundamental lines that needed to be depicted in order to do the multi-views required for orthographic projections. You know, we've talked about orthographic sketching, steps to doing it. I wanted to make sure to pinpoint that they needed to have those construction lines and the type of construction lines in order for them to be able to pinpoint when they had a good orthographic projection sketch. It was clear to me that some people were missing some important features, whether they were hidden lines or things of that sort, and it was because they weren't doing the fundamental construction lines. So I thought it would be great to pick some of their work or some of their peers' work and use that for some of the images for the LBE session. I wanted to first see how much they knew. We talked about orthographic sketching, so I wanted to make sure that they had the base knowledge, that they knew that there should be construction lines, that they knew that there were steps to making those views. So that was really important, either for them to be able to articulate or for them to look at the image and say, I chose it because of this reason. And then also just to point out some other features, some things that normally students miss, like hidden lines, and why we might be able to look at a good one and say, yes, this is going to help us to pick up features that we might forget about, that we might not be able to see. But if we do this correctly, it's going to always lead us to be able to find those features that are not obvious otherwise. I have what I think I want the student to be able to show me, but then when I see their work and I see them missing the same common thing, then I want them to kind of look at it for themselves and arrive at the aha moment that I'm trying to get them to do. So I'm always thinking about those common errors that students are making and how I might be able to use an LBE session to get across a way that they don't have to keep making those mistakes. For an LBE session, I try to think about, again, a learning outcome, something that students aren't quite getting their stuff in. So I try to think about that, and then I'll create a statement, and then I'll try to give some structure in the holistic statement to say, well, this is what this should look like. Whether it's data, whether it is research, I'll try to get some structure for them to understand what it should look like. And then I'll create those images. I'll find a range of images. Of course, there'll be some that will look like what a good one looks like for me. And I'll build those images and create the judgments. I want students to give feedback, so I'll let that be an option for why they chose, why something is good, because that's going to make the discussion rich if they've already thought about why they chose one image over another image. And then let them give feedback for the items. I usually don't get into the items. And when we go through the session, they choose, they give their feedback, and then after we'll look at the top 1 or 2 or 3, and then we'll look at the lower ones and we'll build discussion around those. So that's just all a part of building the learning discussion. And I think the value in that is that you are developing a community and you're beginning to have these open discussions and these ideas are flowing and people are understanding. I can give my opinion. I can say what I like and what I don't like, and that's value in that. And that's why we have such a great community of learners.
My name is Nolan.
My name is Camille.
My name is Ryan.
My name is Terrence. I am in the Foundations of Engineering class at Chamblee High School.
LBE has helped me understand how other people may approach a problem. These LBEs have helped me understand what I need to do for my models and how I can show my work. It shows me, some good examples and bad examples.
It really helps when you're trying to do it by yourself, so you already know the steps to take and you know what the final result should look like.
It's impacted my design because when I'm comparing, it allows me to see what I can do better and what may be easy to understand than just what I think about.
Well, doing the comparisons has helped mainly with me trying to figure out what exactly I'm supposed to do with a lot of the different things that we work with.
When I see the two pictures, I usually just look at A first, break it down. I'm trying to understand what the sketch or the picture is trying to show. In my thought process, the first thing I think about is which one is more complex, because usually those are the ones that are more detailed.
So when I'm trying to decide which image is better, if it's a top view where I can't see much, like sometimes it'll just be a top view where you can only see 3 separate lines on the top. I might opt for the front view where you can see the entire shape and then start with that.
When I see the images, I just think, whoa, I don't know what this is. But then I just see something that we've worked on, maybe a dimension line. We learned about that in our notes, and I see, okay. And then I see an interior view, a sectional view, and I kind of take it apart. I think about which one's easier to understand and which one has more color, which one just looks better overall than just something more lazy or just not much effort. You can tell there's not much effort put into it.
Sometimes with the fidget spinner one, it was just like just a circle one, and then the other ones had actual dimensions and more lines for the technical drawings.
Everyone's different like opinions and like how they looked at them, and they're different like which one they pick, because sometimes we have different answers, and it helps us understand as a class what we all need to work on, or maybe like when we're designing something for the class and we're going to present it, put it in a way that it's easy for everybody to understand.
I get to see how my opinions contrasted with the class.
I've learned like other people's views on it, like how I said more complex ones or ones with more lines on them. Other people are like, oh, there's different dimensions or whatever. So seeing other people's viewpoints on it, and then Miss Gant goes into like really deep discussions on it, and it helps.
Sometimes there's one that I think is not a very good drawing, and it ends up that it was a good representation of it, and vice versa. There's a drawing that I think is very good, and it ends up not being very good. So it just helps you understand where you missed.
Just seeing how other people see different things that you do, because you're only one person looking at it. There's always something that you might miss that someone else catches. So it's really helpful.
The person that's sitting next to me, sometimes he doesn't really understand a lot because he transfers schools. I'll just make sure that everyone is on the same page about everything.
It's good to like look at different examples of what may be good and what may be bad, so we have a different perspective on things.
Explaining the question completely is helpful, so that way the students know what they're looking for. And then also breaking down the end is very helpful, and that's where you probably gain the most from the assignment. I would highly suggest doing these LBEs because I think it really does help me advance.